In lesson 4 we created a one-stone pendant. In this part of the lesson we're now going to edit this pendant using the tools we have learnt since, and we will place a pave on this pendant. So I've opened up the file here, we're at the root object, here is our root object. Okay, so I'm going to double click to enter into here, and this is our pendant. Okay, now I'm going to add a pave along these edges, this sides of our morphed, toroidally flexed shape here. Okay, so remember we added these textures onto our shapes within our Visualize tab. We navigated into the Chrome command and then we placed textures using our own files. Okay, so it's nice to see this for a visualization, but it might be difficult to work for an extended period of time looking at textures such as this. So we can change these textures back to some solid colors like we have by default. Okay, so you'll notice if we try to do this by simply picking new face colors, okay, we're going to fail. This is because we need to erase the textures that we currently have on these shapes, and that is, as I've just shown you, under the edit texture command we have erase texture. Okay, and we simply pick the shapes that we want to erase the textures on. So I'm going to pick the stone and the two parts of this pendant. Okay, it looks like I've picked 4 things here, so let's open up our field here, and I've picked a datum as well, so I'm just going to unpick this. Confirm the operation, and you can see already that our textures have been removed and we're back to some more solid colors. So let's turn this one into the solid yellow gold color as well. Okay, there we go. Now, like I said, we're going to add a pave along these surfaces. Okay, we're going to be using our pave commands. Okay, so our first method to try would be our gems between 2 curves here, because we have some nice edges to use that are opposite one another. So let's come into our gems between 2 curves command. Okay, I'm going to exit out of the material panel, keep them as a white diamond, set my entity filter onto edge, and we can pick our curve A and curve B. Okay, now we can pick the surface. There we can see our preview coming in. We can increase the number of stones, spread them out, even them out. Okay, so this is a nice pave, but what you may notice is that when we come to paveing our other sides, we're going to have a clash here, because this gemstone is overlapping the edge of this surface that it is placed on. Okay, so we would like to bump this stone to the right a bit, so that we have room for its opposite stone. Okay, so maybe the gems between 2 curves is maybe not the best way to go when trying to pave this surface. Okay, so let's exit out of this command. I'm going to blank my stone and my metal bar. Now, another way to go will be to use our uniform gem array. Okay, we can create a line down the center of this surface. To do this, we come into our wireframe tab, navigate to our 3D medial command, we'll pick our 2 edges. When we confirm the operation, this command will throw in a medial curve, okay, a curve that is in the center of these 2 curves, these 2 edges. Okay, we can use our uniform gem array on this curve and on that surface. So we pick the curve and we can pick the surface. We can now change our size. Let's drop it down to 2. We'll spread our stones. Okay, but we have the same problem here. Okay, but now we have control over the length of this curve. We can decrease the length of this curve by trimming it. Okay, so we come into the wireframe tab again. We'll use our trim extend tool. Okay, so we want to extend both ends. In this case, we're going to trim both ends, pick our curve, and then we can select the amount we want to reduce it by. So let's say a -1 each end, or near enough. Okay, now let's see what our pavé looks like. Select the curve again, select the surface. Okay, and you can see that our pavé is starting further down now. Okay, which means we have more room, enough room, when we come to place our stones on the opposite side. And the method we will actually be using to place those stones is simply mirroring these stones across. Okay, but to me these look a bit too spaced out, and it seems to me like we can have them slightly further up here. So let's change the amount we reduced that curve by. Let's redefine last. Let's change this value to 0.5 millimeter. Confirm. Exit out of the command. And we're going to try our uniform gem array again. Pick the curve, the surface, spread the stones, 2 millimeters, and to me these are looking very nice now. We've got a nice separation between them, giving plenty of room, and we're going to elevate them. Change the step size to 1/100th of a millimeter. Let's elevate these stones. We'll give them a good elevation, 2/10ths of a millimeter. Confirm the operation, and there are our stones. Okay, we can erase this curve now. So now we can add prongs onto our gems, okay, to set our stones. We come into the gem settings tab. Let's use the uniform prongs. We'll pick our stones as a feature. Okay, our prongs are thrown in there. I'm going to reduce the overlap 30%. I'm going to increase the distance between our prongs so that we can have some larger prongs here. Okay, 0.6 millimeters seems pretty decent there. Our prongs are all a good enough size. And I might just reduce the height a bit. We're not going to be manufacturing this piece, so I like to bring them down a bit, just so we can see more of our stones when rendering. Let's confirm the operation. I'm not going to tweak these prongs. And there you go, we have some prong settings for our gemstones. Okay, we will need to add in our end prongs manually. Okay, so, but what I should have done is made use of the mirror tool within that prong command. So I'm going to redefine last, and I can use this mirror here. Okay, so this mirror allows me to mirror my created prongs across 2 datums, or even more datums than that. So here we're getting the mirrored copies of these prongs. Confirm the operation. New tweak. Okay. Next up, we will use our cutters. Okay, so in the Tools and Cutters tab, I'm going to use the straight chamfer cutter this time. Okay, we can pick our stones as the feature. And let's take a look at how these cutters are performing. We'll navigate into our wireframe display mode, and here we can see the cutter, and it's just removing plenty of material for our stones. Okay, so there's no issue here with the material encroaching upon the stones, so we should get a nice render of these stones. If the material were to be intersecting our stone, it would throw off our render a bit. I might increase the elevation a little bit more. Okay, but I don't want to go too high. Okay, maybe that's not necessary. I'm going to confirm the operation. Exit out of my tweak. Here are the cutters. Okay, I made the mistake again of not mirroring my cutters like I did the prongs. So let's do the same for them. Confirm the operation. Cancel out of the tweak, and there are our cutters. We can now merge these cutters. Pick them as a feature, merge them with the base. Confirm. Okay, and it looks like that command has not worked. The operation has failed there. It's been added to the history, but that command has failed. So when it fails, we can undo it. The next step to take would be to use our ZW merge tool. We would merge, we pick our components, okay, we can't pick them as a feature unfortunately, so we pick them one by one as a component. Okay, and then we're going to merge these to see if the ZW tool will perform for us. Okay, and we can do a merge remove with this shape, and maybe this will work for us. Okay, that appears to have worked fine. Okay, if it didn't work, we would have merged them all as bases and then performed combine removes on individual cutters to try and locate the source of our issue. Okay, but this has gone through okay. We've removed quite a lot of material there. Okay, we don't want to reduce the structural integrity of our piece. So I might be concerned about how much material I have, say here, in which case I'm going to use my inquire tools to inquire the distance. Okay, we have 4/10 of a millimeter of material there. That seems okay. Let's use our section tool. To see, and that looks okay. We're not removing more material as the cutters goes down. Okay, that seems okay to me. Right, the next step, we can mirror our stones. Come into our Tools and Cutters tab, Mirror Components, pick the datum. I'm going to mirror these gems across the side datum. Confirm, and repeat. This time the front datum. Pick the features, confirm, and there you go. Finally, we need to add the prongs at our endpoints. To do this, I'll use my component replicate tool, which replicate this one. Let's place one in the middle there. Okay, we're not going to get this at the right angle, so we'll have to move it later on. rotate it. Okay, so we can mirror these ones across this datum. I'm going to component replicate for this side as well. Confirm. Okay, now we need to rotate this prong. Okay, now we can't use our component move for this purpose. The component move works a bit more dynamically. We pick the component and then we're placing it on a new point. Okay, we come into our shape tab, select move, set our entity filter to component, pick our component. We want to rotate about the direction. Our direction will be along this edge. Set our entity filter to edge, pick this edge, and I'm also going to move it down a little bit. Okay, let's do the same for this prong. Okay, that will do. Let's mirror these components. Middle click, repeat for the others. Okay, now let's unblank our other parts. And there you go, we have our pave on our pendant. Change the color. I've forgotten to merge the prongs. Okay, let's merge our prongs. Come into our gems and settings tab, merge prongs. We're going to pick all of our prongs, merge them to the base, okay, and that failed. If we look at our output folder, it was unable to combine these prongs. Okay, so if this happens, we likely have a particular prong that is causing issues. So the way to proceed is to merge our prongs in groups. Okay, so let's start off with this set of prongs. Okay, that worked fine. Let's try some more prongs and we can try and track down the prong that is causing our issue. Let's merge these prongs. They're mirrored, so if one of these prongs is off, its opposite will be off as well. So let's try them both. Okay, so this one worked too. we have our issue on one of these prongs, or even all of them. Let's try and merge our prongs. Let's merge them individually. Let's try this prong. Okay, so here we've found an issue prong. Let's try again this prong. That one was fine. Okay, let's check out our last prong. Okay, so that was causing an issue as well. So to resolve this issue, we should move our prongs a little bit. Okay, they may be coincident on some faces or edges, and it's just causing a bit of issue here. So what I'm going to do actually is erase 3 of these components. The reason being is that we can mirror one of these into the position of the others when it is correct. Okay, so now I'll come into my shape tab, merge. I'm going to merge it as a base. Okay, so now this is now a shape. We're going to want to combine add the prong with our base, but it's failing currently. Let's just check that it fails again. Okay, it is failing. We need to move it a little bit. Okay, so let's just tweak it out slightly. Move our handle. Let's position it at the top here. Okay, we can choose to set our axis. Okay, let's right click, center line, like so. Okay, so we've aligned our handle. Now let's move our prong. I'm just going to tweak it out a bit. And maybe we'll move it up slightly. Okay, so just a little movement can often resolve our issue. Let's try our combine add again. Base, prong is the operator, and there you go, it has worked. Okay, so now I'm going to come back before this combine add. In fact, I'm just going to undo the combine add, and now I'll mirror across my front datum, and I'll mirror again across the side datum. Okay, now we can combine add all 4 of these prongs. Okay, there you go. Okay, now my stone is not rendering so well. This is because we merged it previously. So I'm going to come back in my history and find out where this merge is. By just hovering my cursor over an operation, you see that operation highlight in our graphics window. Okay, and we can locate the merge. We're just going to right click, delete this merge. History will regenerate, taking into account this deleted operation. Okay, so now our stone is no longer a shape, it's a component again, and this should improve our live render somewhat. Now I did notice something when I regenerated our history there, and that is the combine remove. I missed this earlier. If I come back, it looks as though the wrong the combine remove is the wrong way around. If I blank out this shape, we are removing that morphed plate from our bar here. Okay, it should really be the other way around, otherwise we'll have trouble if we were to manufacture this piece getting that morphed shape into position. Okay, so what I want to do is come back into this combine, go to unpick my two pieces. Okay, the operator is going to be this bar. The base, the thing we'll be removing from, is this shape. You can confirm the operation there. Now we have the remove from this morphed shape. Let's blank it back into the other area. Okay, so now this will allow the shape to be placed nicely onto the bar, and it could be soldered there at manufacture. Okay, so I missed that earlier. It had been flipped around. Okay, so this should be the way to go. Replay history. It should all be fine. Okay, and we're fine. So it's pretty neat there how we can make a change right at the beginning of our history and then replay the rest of history. We have many operations there and they're not being thrown off by that modification. Okay. Now at a more advanced level we may wish to add in smaller stones on the corners here. Okay, but for now we're leaving this pendant like this. We could add in an extra prong to fill up that space if we wanted to. It does look a bit bare at the moment, but for now I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so let's check out our live render again. Okay, add the rendering studio to improve upon this.